Good evening and welcome to BCN News with Soraya Mangawa. Leading our news tonight, one person was arrested, charged and released on bail on Tuesday this week for growing cannabis. The Niue police served a search warrant at a residence at Makefu where they found evidence of the suspected growing of cannabis. The police are currently conducting their investigations to find out how cannabis got onto the island. Here's more on this story.
Earlier this week, on Tuesday afternoon, the Niue police executed a search warrant at a residence at Makefu on the suspicion of someone growing cannabis. The warrant was signed by the Chief Justice Craig Cogshead. In a press release, Niue police said that acting on a tip from an anonymous source, they obtained and served the search warrant at the residence. Evidence was obtained and one person was arrested, charged and released on bail. Niue police want to thank the public for their assistance in locating the cannabis plants. The investigation into the importation of the cannabis seeds is ongoing, and information from the police investigation will be forwarded to Niue Customs and Biosecurity for their investigation into the importation of the seeds and controlled drugs. Violation of the Misuse of Drugs Act of 2007 carries a minimum penalty of 3 months in prison and or 5 penalty units or $500 fine, and a maximum penalty of 14 years in prison and or 1,000 penalty units or $100,000 fine. The Chief of Police, Timothy Wilson, told BCN News that the man charged will appear at the next sitting of the Niue High Court.
A total of 66 women ranging from the ages of 28 to 79 years completed a breast screening program last month. The program concluded later in October last month, where sonographer Mele Mone was able to speak with BCN News concerning the results found from the screening. Esther Pavihi reports.
Since 2019, when sonographer and radiographer Mele Mone first started working at the UFO hospital and the start of the breast screening program, she has screened 329 women on the island. This year, she screened 66 new cases. This number does not include the previous 263.
So I managed to scan 66 ladies. So the youngest was 28 and the eldest one was 79. So total up with these 60 ladies, I've come across with 34 abnormalities. 12 of them will be having to have a look at it more carefully throughout 1 year, and then we already sent one referral patient to New Zealand.
Mone said that she is concerned with the high number of abnormalities seen in more than half of the women screened this year. She said that compared to other Pacific countries like Samoa and Tonga with much larger populations, the number of abnormalities in Niue is concerningly high.
Here in the island, I'm so concerned of the numbers of abnormalities I've found so far compared to the number of population. It's too much. There's too many of them. For me, I believe this is not a good number. And breast abnormality in the island is very common. Not only breast, thyroid nodules is the other concern, and ovarian abnormalities. So I'm not sure what cause, but in comparing to other Pacific islands, I think our number is the highest in comparing to the other Pacific islands. We're just talking about ladies only.
Last month, BCN News also spoke with the head of public health, Griselda Mokoia, who expressed her concerns regarding the current number of cancer patients on the island and the increasing number of cancer diagnoses on the island.
So from 2009 to 2021, total number of people who have cancer is 58. So that has gone up over the years, and it is a concern for the department, especially now that more younger people are getting affected as well. So just encouraging the general population that if you don't feel well and you need to see somebody, to come forward and get yourself screened.
Even though the screening program for women is now over for the month of October, Melemone is encouraging men and women to contact her and also to go in to be screened. This month of November, also called Movember, is the Health Department's Men's Awareness Month. A screening program for the men will take place this month, and the Health Department is calling out to all the menfolk on the island to go and get yourselves a screen.
Cyclone season has begun on Tuesday, the 1st of November this week, and it will continue until the 30th of April 2023 next year. The predictions for the Pacific, especially for the Western Pacific, is found that 10 cyclones will be experienced around that region, whereas for Niue it will be 0 to 1 cyclone. Here's Esther Pavihi with more on this story.
In an email earlier this week, Director of the Niue Met Services, Rosie Misiapo, said that severe tropical cyclones reaching Category 3 or higher may occur anywhere across the region, so all communities should remain prepared. The predictions for Niue, though, this cyclone season are for 0 to 1 cyclone, while the risk is much higher for the Western Pacific, with up to about 10 cyclones predicted this season. Niue is in a La Nina alert heading towards the end of the year and is expected to continue until February 2023. Mrs. Misiapo said that this is a triple dip La Nina event following on from the last two La Nina events in 2020 and 2021. In La Nina conditions for Niue, results will be above normal rainfall and normal risk of tropical cyclones. Director of Met Services says that it does not take a severe tropical cyclone to produce severe impacts. Heavy rain, stormy weather and high seas and swells can occur with weaker low-pressure systems. Niue Met Director Rosie Misiapo is urging the public to remain vigilant and to adhere to the advice and notices from the department and from the government.
The government last week implemented the increase in the fortnightly pensions and the quarterly child allowance that Premier Dalton Tangilangi announced at the flag-raising ceremony. Pensioners receiving a $30 increase in their fortnightly payments, and the children will receive $100 every 3 months. Here's Losana Sioneholo with more on this story.
According to the Ministry of Social Services, the pension has increased by $30, which means that pensioners aged in the case of a person 60 years to 69 years will receive $440 fortnightly or $11,440 per year. In the case of a person who has attained the age of 70 years to 79 years, will receive $450 every 2 weeks or $11,700 per year. Any other person of 80 plus years of age will receive $460 every fortnight or $11,960 per year. The quarterly child allowance has increased from $85 to $100 or $400 per year for every qualifying child.
Approximately 60 students will be sitting their NCEA exams starting this coming Sunday. Deputy Principal Moira Jackson is asking the parents for their support to ensure the students are ready and prepared for their exams, while also some of the students will be sitting their exams overseas. Losana Sionehola reports.
Niue High School has had a very disruptive last term with the sudden passing of one of their teachers in school and staff changes as the students approach the end of exams. However, Deputy Principal Moira Jackson said that they are prepared for the exams with a few temporary changes to staff, but the important thing is that the students are ready and prepared to sit their NCEA exams. The first subject examination will be NCEA Level 2 Physics, and the final subject will be Level 1 Social Studies, ending on Thursday, the 1st of December.
And an increasing number of unregistered and feral dogs have continued to cause serious concerns amongst the people on how it is being handled. BCN News spoke with Chief of Police Tim Wilson earlier this week, who provided an update on what the police department and the people need to do in order to address this issue. Here's more on this story. Responsible for the registration and enforcement of any dog-related animal control legislation, Niue Chief of Police Tim Wilson told BCN News earlier this week that despite their efforts to address this growing concern, people are solely responsible for the welfare of their pets.
The police try to do a survey once a year to try to determine how many dogs we have on the island. The survey is reported from us going around to the villages, to most of the houses in the village, and just asking how many dogs they have. And so for our last number that we have obtained through the dog survey was 454. But that will only count dogs that people claim as being their own dogs, so it doesn't take into account feral dogs. It's an offense to have an unregistered dog, so that person can be charged and taken to court, and it'd be up to the justice system, the judges, and to determine what the penalty for that would be.
From the 454 dogs, only 142 are registered. Recently, in the past weeks, 2 incidents of dog attacks were reported to the police, says Chief Wilson.
Yeah, so we have had 2 recent dog attacks, but it's been a very, very long time before that since we had any reported dog attacks. And we had 2 people within a week that were attacked, both kind of in the same area. So the police have working on investigations to figure out which dogs those were. And obviously those dogs, once we determine which ones they were, will be put down, and the owners charged with an offense for allowing their dogs to be out and attack somebody. We have a pretty robust dog program. We go out and we shoot a lot of dogs and try to put a lot of dogs down. We actually, this coming week, are getting ready to go out and shoot a bunch more dogs. So we encourage anybody who has dogs that they don't want, while the rock vets are here, it's a great time to bring them in and have them euthanized, and so we don't have to shoot them. But if they want to keep their dogs, they need to come in and license them and register them. But, you know, the dogs are always going to be a problem. The dogs birth more dogs than what we can shoot every year. So it's really incumbent upon the owners of the dogs to try to get their dogs desexed, take care of them, and get rid of the ones that they don't want instead of just letting them run loose.
The police department has put down approximately 200 dogs in the last year.
The only way we're ever going to be able to get ahead of this problem is if people have their dogs desexed, and if they get rid of ones that they don't want instead of just throwing them out in the bush or taking them down to Tafalalo or whatever. If you have a dog that you don't want, bring it to us, or get a hold of DAF if you want it euthanized with a shot. And we will try to help take care of those requests so that they don't continue to become feral and that they have more feral dogs and that the problem just gets out of control.
After 3 years away, the Rock Vets have finally made their return to the island. Arriving on Monday last week, the team of 16 volunteers and Rock Vets Trust founder Sasha Knoll have been working tirelessly at the old Halamahanga school buildings to see and treat as many cats and dogs on the island before they leave tomorrow. Here's more on this story. 3 years has been a very long time since the Rock Vets were able to provide a regular health checkup and desexing of both dogs and cats. Since that period of time, the population of pets, especially dogs on the island, have soared, a problem which cannot be reduced without the help of the vets who can desex the animals. BCN News was able to speak with the Rock Vets founder, Sasha Knoll, on Monday this week.
So mainly we're doing desexing, so we've desexed over 130 pets already, cats and dogs, so we're doing really well. We hope to get through that number again, so over 250 desexings while we're here on the island. We've done 3 leg amputations from dogs with sort of chronic broken legs and injuries to their legs. We've taken some eyes out that were badly infected. So we're doing a few other bits and pieces as well.
Despite their brief return in the last week, Sasha told BCN News that they are planning to set up a long-term vet clinic once the DAF building is ready. In this way, they would be able to return to the island on regular intervals without having to worry about accommodation and the tedious task of unpacking and packing their equipment when they arrive and depart the island as usual.
So we're leaving this Friday. Most of the team are leaving, so we're hoping to get as much done this week as what we can. We don't feel that we're going to get through all of the work because it's been 3 years since we've been here, unfortunately. So we will be back in March, at the end of March. So all those little puppies and kittens, we'll be able to desex them in March before they can breed. So there is still hope for the really young ones, but our goal is to get the adult dogs in for desexing, both the males and the females, by Friday. And there will be a residual team of vets on the island until the 11th, and we can deal with any emergencies up until we leave on the 11th, but we won't be doing any more desexing unless it's urgent, like a pregnant bitch.
Rugby league, a full contact sport, has been growing in interest across the island for the men and for the boys. And what has also been growing is the amount of injuries that have been sustained during their games. General concerns have been raised in regards to the welfare of the players. BCN News was able to speak with Niue Rugby League President Zach Smith earlier this week, who provided his account to these concerns. In early September, the Niue Rugby League hosted its first Nines tournament for this year between the villages of the island who had entered. 2 weeks ago, they also hosted its first out of a series of free games between Motu and Tafisi. BCN News understands that from these games, there has been a serious amount of injuries that some of the players have sustained. The injuries have impacted their daily schedules, being unable to work, staying at home for long periods of time, or traveling overseas to get further health assistance. BCN News spoke with Niue Rugby League President Zach Smith on Tuesday morning, who shared his point of view on the matter.
It's pretty unfortunate. We've had a couple major injuries during our games. Injuries, there will always be injuries in the sport. We hope for less like the major ones, and just have minimal injuries. So during our training we try to work on fitness, because fitness helps with it, and also just the technique, and it's more like with the young ones now, I guess if you haven't played contact sport all your life and then you just come into it now, it's obviously your body hasn't been conditioned to that type of contact. So we're trying to teach them how to avoid getting injured. So there's less impact on their bodies. At the same time, teaching them like tackling techniques and stuff, just so they don't get injured badly.
Zach says that the committee is working to have a sports program for the younger generation still in school as a way to deter the number of fatalities from on-field playing.
With the young ones, it's tough because of the numbers we have in Niue. Like, we do tell them it's really up to them. We don't encourage the young ones. We do, but when it comes to games where it's mixed with open grade, like, we do give them the option. It's up to them, but a lot of them they really want to play. So I guess struggling with numbers is what makes it hard, which is why we need the young ones in it. But at the same time, we try and tell the older guys, you sort of take it easy on the young ones as well. And some of them have been, But during the game, anything can happen, in the heat of the moment.
The second game between Motu versus Tafisi will take place this coming Saturday at the Paliasi Niue High School grounds at 3:30 p.m. in the afternoon. The World Powerlifting Niue have announced their team who will be competing at the Oceania Powerlifting Championships to be held later this month in Melbourne, Australia. As the team make preparations for the event, Alentano Puleosi is determined for World Powerlifting Niue to be recognized on the international stage. Here's more on this story. The Oceania Powerlifting Championships 2022 will take place in Melbourne, Australia on the 26th to the 27th of November this month. The team includes Emma Kamupala, who is in Australia, as the team manager, head coach and lifter Alentano Puleosi, competing in the age group 65 to 70 under the men's 105 kg category, and 2 youth. Chrysalyn Sipeni will be competing as a youth in the women's 84 plus kg category. Ailani Motama will also be competing as a youth in the men's 100 plus kilogram category. BCN News understands that the athletes are responsible for their own costs and are fundraising to cover their travel and incidental costs.
So we're doing our own fundraising raffle. But airfares we paid our own way. We already paid our airfares, which is not cheap. Return from Niue to Melbourne, it's $2,400. Luckily, our patron, Honourable the Lady Fita, has agreed, like before, that they will purchase our tickets and we will pay it an installment, which is better than paying the whole lot at the same time.
The announcement of the team came after a successful 2022 bodybuilding and powerlifting nationals event held on Thursday last week, where 8 lifters and 5 bodybuilders showcased their talents at Clayton's Club. The team are continuing their training and are ready to fly out on Friday, 18th of November. To finish off our news bulletin for tonight is the canoe races and fishing competition, which took place last month. As per year, the event is held in celebration of Constitution Day, marking a historical and cultural period in time for Niue in maintaining our cultural values and traditions, while commemorating Niue's political independence since becoming a self-governing nation in 1974. Here's more on this story. Earlier last month, the Niue Waka Association held its annual fishing competition on the 7th to the 8th of October at Sir Robert's Wharf. For the canoe races that took place early morning of Constitution Day for the relay, taking the champion title of the event was Presley Viliamu and Roxy Damso. Second place went to father and daughter duo, Do Mafoy and Bella Fuhiniu, and third place went to Clifford Marsh and Micah Fuhiniu Viviani. For the fishing canoe race, first place went to Presley Viliamu, second place to Sifisifi Mokale, and coming in third was Clifford Marsh. The Masters Older Generation canoe race winner went to Langa Lavini, second to George, and third place went to Manisila Mokale. And that is our news bulletin for tonight. Do join us again next Tuesday and Thursday for more of our local news. Until then, wishing you all a prosperous weekend. Good evening.